It's hard to believe that we've made it 52 episodes in the Thursday Night Grind and we haven't talked about hair shears yet. And I say that because from my perspective, full-time sharpeners often fall into two categories. They are industrial, like saws and knives and things like that, or beauty and shears and clippers and things like that. From where I stand, most of the full-time people go that direction. So naturally it gets a lot of attention, right? Because in order to go full-time, it has to be relatively lucrative and on and blah, blah. And there's a lot of opportunity in the space. If you think about all the hair salons and pet grooming places around any place where there are people, they need to be served. So I will also include here that I don't hawk my services for clipper blades or beauty shears. I did invest in the equipment to do it, and we're going to do it today. My opinion is that there is quite a bit more to beauty shears than there is to knives, at least residential cutlery, which is why I love residential cutlery as a place to get started. It's very forgiving, and it's there's, to me, and from my perspective, there's not as much to it. So we're going to take a look at these. These are not particularly complex as far as beauty shears come. And without further ado, let me remind you that this episode of the Thursday Night Grind is really my aspiration to draw awareness to the Guild of Professional Sharpeners, where we're building a community of people who are learning how to sharpen knives, tools, and everything else, and then learning how to monetize that in the form of a business, whether that's a side business or a full-time thing. So if this idea resonates with you, if it sounds cool, be sure to check out the Guild of Professional Sharpeners at guildofsharpeners.org. And the thing that stands out for me most this week was a compilation of material that Jason put together. And just a little background is, in the Guild of Professional Sharpeners, there's an online course that lays out the foundation for bringing your business into reality. And one of those sessions I titled Becoming the Expert. And that, in my mind, is twofold. One is the hands-on thing of like putting, edges on knives and tools. And the other one is the knowledge and the awareness of what's going on. And Jason is an outstanding researcher. He's done a lot of work in this section of Becoming the Expert, and he made a lot of that work available to us. So as I predicted, and I continue to hope for, is that as time goes on, the Guild will only get more valuable, both in terms of people, experiences, and resources. So make sure if this interests you, check it out, guildofsharpeners.org. All right, let's go to the bench and get a close-up of these beauty shears. I forgot to mention in the intro that this Thursday Night Grind is on Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to everyone out there celebrating Christmas. Now back to the shears. These are not these are residential shears, and I even asked her, are you using these for hair? Because sometimes people just get this stuff and use it for whatever. But I am going to treat them as hair shears. Pakistan model 1016. And the biggest things that stand out to me here are the presence of rust on the edge and the face. So we're going to need to clean that up. And also that they are beveled, not convex. And that's a big thing in the beauty shear space. So you can see here a flat surface here, so that you cut a flat surface that meets the inside face, and that forms the cutting edge. And Japanese style shears are not flat, but rather they are rounded all the way to the other face here, and those are convex. And in order to do those, you have to have special equipment, which I do have, but I won't be needing for these. So the next step for me is to, other than that, they're relatively straightforward. So I'm going to see if I can get them apart. This mechanism here catches my eye. It's a little bit awkward, but it is apparently a screw here. So I'm going to try to take them apart, and I'll be back at you. And I meant to include this disclaimer as well. I don't proclaim to be the hair shear guru. Rather quite the opposite. I practice a lot of caution in doing them and hawking my, like I like to represent, I like my business to be representative of the highest quality, and I'm not there yet with hair shears, but it's I am in the learning process. And this is one of those great ones where the tools that I have, I'm not going to get this out. Based on the look of it, I don't even know how it comes out. If it does, it might just be I don't know. So if you are a hair shear pro, could you just leave a note in the comments on whether or not that comes out, if it's supposed to. All the other screwdrivers I have in my kit either are too fat and they don't fit in there, or if they're narrow enough, they're too teeny. And I did have one that fits in here with this tool, and I'm gonna break my bit before I move that. So I'm just gonna leave it, and I'm gonna tell the owner I can't adjust these. So that's the way I'm moving forward on that. The next step for me is to clean them up. So the first thing I'm going to do is the barkeeper's friend and the green scrubby, to just see if I can get that off without, I don't want to put it to the wire wheel if I don't have to. So I'm going to do that, and I'll check back in with you. You ever get that feeling when you're about to put something on the internet and you're concerned that like the passionate people who know way more than you are going to weigh in and like, you can't do that? That's the way I felt about the barkeeper's friend and green scrubby cleaning these up. But it worked good, so that's hopefully I don't get too much flack for that. It's kind of a bummer I can't take them apart, but it is what it is. So here, I'm not sure my red twice as sharp has ever made the show before. So welcome to my brandy new red twice as sharp. This is the convexing clamp, just so you know. Like, I got it, I can do it. I'm not real good at it. I would like to get better at it. And actually, I'm not sure it's the best tool, honestly. I kind of like that Hero 2 or flat hone solution. So, but there's always more things to buy, and as a lot of you have pointed out, my shop space is tapped out. So this one is not a convex shear, it's a beveled shear. So I'm not going to use the convexing clamp. I have this other one. One thing just to point out to you, just so you know, this is a newer clamp. You might know I have my older twice as sharp model A1 over there, Champ from like 1991 or something, still going. Man, that thing has paid for itself between the owners before me and me countless times, because I bought that from a guy who ran a business. But anyway, you can tell the old ones are different than the new ones because on the new clamps here, they actually go to a -5 degrees on that scale, which is convenient for pinking shears. We won't get there today. So, but we are going to do, I'm going to assume that we're going to be around 30. So I'm going to take us there, load us up, and do a little scratch test. In the interest of time, I'm going to speed this up a little bit and voice over. In case you are not familiar with the scratch testing, what we're doing here is I'm going to spin the wheel there. It'll scratch the surface of the edge, and then I adjust the clamp to get the angle that matches the factory angle. Right now I'm reaching for my Sharpie. I'm going to paint a little Sharpie on that bevel because the Sharpie will scratch off, and then makes it even easier for me to find the angle. And we're seeing here I was way off. All right, yo, so these are actually measuring in at like 10 degrees. I got a hunch these are these started out low quality shears, and because I don't see them like that. I could probably get away with doing these on the other wheels, but since we're already set up, we're rocking and rolling. Let's do it. This can get a little repetitive, so I'm going up a little bit faster here and voicing over some more things I look for here. And then these shears particularly were kind of, they needed a lot of grinding, sadly. But you'll see me down there towards the pivot mechanism. I call it a plunger. It's probably a better name for it. But I try to plunge in at the same place that they were. And as I was working these, it looked like maybe they had been worked in the past and that the plunge line was not exactly where the manufacturer put it. The other thing I pay attention to is the tip. And this one, there was a bit of chatter out at the tip. And temperature there. So you see I'm bracing it with my finger. I feel that pulls a little bit of the chatter out. But then the other thing I do is kind of just do a tap, light pressure with the tip on the wheel. The other thing that I pay attention to is the temperature. This diamond wheel on this is the Ukami Gold wheels here. This diamond wheel doesn't put in as much heat as the other one, but it's still something you got to pay attention to, especially at the tip, because you don't want to burn those tips. Okay, so here's a point where I went back to the books, because I have these two that came with this thing. And if you don't have the convexing clamp, you're not doing convex shears. The guidance in this manual is to do what we always do, which is spread them apart, close them, screws them open, and it pushes the burr back to the bevel, and then we refine over here, cut the burr off with some paper towel. I think I'm going to do that. I'm pretty convinced, and it also says like for older shears at less than a 35-degree bevel, you can increase the bevel to 35 degrees. I'm not going to do that. That's going to be a lot of grinding, and I don't feel like doing that. I do have these other deburring blocks, both the deburr and the finish one, which I have used for convex shears, which take the place of that action. Because you actually do all the net, for those, you take them apart, and you cut your burr here, and then you use these other blocks to push the burr back. Refine the ride line, and that's a whole thing too, like inspecting the ride line of the shear in there, so that's what I'm getting at. Like, there's a lot more to these than just regular scissors. But anyway, so I'm going to do these according to this book. So if that bothers you, you can let me know in the comments. But I'm not winging it. I am using the resources I have here. So I'm going to do the old push them apart a little bit and then push the burr back to the bevel. And now we'll go over to, I'm just checking the burr has gone back over, and I can actually see it. Okay, so now we're going to go over to the polishing wheel. We're going to speed it up here again and bring some compound out to dress that wheel. Flip that clamp around like we do so it's an edge trailing stroke. Going to go back and forth a bit, make sure we get the whole blade, pay attention to the tip, and not heat it up. Then in this case, like I was so yeah, some of that compound comes off, stays on the shear, so you got to wipe that off, and then use 2 layers of paper towel as per those instructions to cut the burr off. Another dab of compound on the wheel, do the other side, clean it off, and remove the burr by taking a pass on the paper towel. It's nice to do a cut test on everything, but these in particular. And the cut test I like to do is a tissue paper spritzed with water, hanging, no side pressure, easy stroke. These ones didn't do great with no side pressure, but they did fine with just a little bit of side pressure. And I can't adjust the tension with that pin mechanism, so I'm going to give these a pass. These are good to go. Closing thoughts on hair shears. I think the beauty industry, hair shears and clippers and stuff, I think it is a huge market to move into from the sharpening perspective. One thing I take really seriously is that when we do that, we are now sharpening, working on the tools of another person's trade. And really, their livelihood depends on our service. So I take that real seriously, and I spoke to some dudes who cut hair, and they let me work on their stuff, and I was like, yo, I'm still learning about what I'm doing here. And I had a little barter thing going. This is a while back where they'd cut my hair and I'd sharpen their stuff. But I didn't pretend that I'm a hair shear expert, like I said, right? I take it real seriously. I think that to do this stuff, and then the other thing to notice too, or to note, is that hair shears, the industry charges more for hair shears than scissors, and there's a reason for it. And that maybe not every beauty shear that comes across the bench requires as much work, but a lot of them do, and they take a lot longer than a pair of scissors. They take more skill, they take more stuff, make more tools. I'm still a little reluctant to put myself out there and actively market for hair shears. If a groomer or someone reaches out to me, I'll say, yes, I can do that, and here's where I'm at. And clippers are sort of the same way too. I can do clippers. I've done them. I'm getting the hang of them. I did a bunch for free, same sort of thing where I had it was like, yo, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'd be happy to work on them, no charge, and I hope they work out for you. And I've learned a lot about clippers, and there's a lot of misinformation about clippers out there, and they're also hard. As I've been learning more about it, though, I have discovered some great resources, and if this is something that you're interested in too, check out Bonica Shears. Bonnie's I love how, I find that some people are kind of like closed in this space, and that they like, it's the old school mentality where they don't put out information because they train their competition, they lose it, right? Bonnie's really cool, and I love that she's just wide open about sharpening and all of the stuff that comes up. Like, I've done a whole year of shows on knives and tools. Like, she's doing the same amount of stuff on beauty shears, and there's that much to it. So check out Bonica Shears. And then Sharpener's Report is a periodical that you can pay to subscribe to. I think it's worth it. There's good content in there. And then I have talked to Jim O'Donnell. I love him. He's at Jim Sharp blog. He used to work at Wolf Industries. He's put out a bunch of stuff. I think his teaching style resonates with me. Like, he's really, I just like his approach. And we've spoke, and I've talked about doing like some trainings with him. But here's the thing, man. Like, everybody that like gets on my case for the guild being too expensive, like, one day with Jim is $500, right? Like, I priced that out with him, and I don't know. Like, I bet he'd answer the phone when I called him after doing that. But I don't know, man. And it's probably, I bet it's worth it, right? Just like the guild is worth $500. The people that do it are like, man, I'm getting way more value than I paid for this, which is awesome. Yeah, it's so awesome seeing so much go on. Yo, make sure, I'll wrap up here. Make sure you subscribe to the email list. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to be sending out a sequence of emails. I'd like you to get those. In that is going to be a deal for the guild, and then what I'm really excited to share is 3 stories of awesome for people that I've worked with for over a year and a half now, and what they've built for themselves. So I'm really excited to share their story more than anything else. If the guild in like 2021 is going to be your year to get your side hustle off the ground and like to start a business and change the rest of your life, make sure you go get on that emails to get the link to that discount offer. All right, yo, Merry Christmas. Thanks for showing up. Coincidentally, this year, 2020, has 53 Thursdays. So I am going to see you again. And then we get to talk about like what happens next year. I started out 2020 with the goal I'm going to put out a Thursday night grind every week for a year. And I made it. And I don't know exactly what next year is going to look like. So if you want to weigh in on any of that, let me know in the comments or reach out to me on email. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Thank you for helping my channel grow. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe and all that. Reach out to me anytime. I love talking to you guys. Peace.